Tony Laporta. I'm your host of Road to Indy TV, and we are getting ready for our third and final Mazda Road to Indy race of the weekend. It's going to be the Cooper Tires Pro Mazda Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Cars are not on pit lane behind us just yet, but they're going to start rolling out here very shortly. Again, we just wrapped up the Indy Lights race. That's the top rung of the Mazda Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. I'm waiting for Pro Mazda drivers to roll out behind me, and we've already had two with one more race for the USF 2000 Championship rolling out. And if you're here this weekend taking in the Indy car racing, we welcome you. We hope you're having a great weekend, but I also encourage you to take your time to watch, listen, and learn about the Mazda Road to Indy. It's a one-of-a-kind driver development championship system that takes drivers out of karting or whatever type of open-wheel racing they were doing beforehand. It moves them up and graduates them one day eventually to the Verizon IndyCar Series. So you can hear the engines firing up behind me, and our Pro Mazda field is rolling out onto the track right now. We're going to try to talk to our pole sitter. You see him right here in that green Juncos #2 machine. It's Rinus VK. Rinus, we're going to talk to you really shortly here. Championship point leader coming into the weekend. You're coming off those 2 wins in Toronto. What have you had to do to make your car run the way you want this weekend here at Mid-Ohio?
Well, of course, we had also a little bit of rough time before I swept the weekend in Toronto. But the team has worked so incredibly hard to get this car how it is now, and yeah, it's just great. I want to thank them for that.
Now, Parker Thompson has been a threat all season long. He starts 2 positions behind you. Are you ready to contend with him later on in this race?
Yeah, I look forward to fight with him, and yeah, of course, finish in front of him. That's my goal.
Finish in front of Parker Thompson, finish in front of the rest of the field. That's Rinus VK's goal. Again, he's the pole sitter, he's the championship point leader, and he's our most recent winner, coming off back-to-back wins in Toronto, Ontario, only 2 weeks ago. So there you see it, the field is lined up behind us. We do have a vacant spot here on the grid. That belongs to the number 79 from BN Racing of David Malukas. I'll be honest with you folks, I'm not sure as to the reason why Malukas is not down here on the grid yet. But as we wait for him, let's give you a live look at the starting lineup for round number 12 of the 2018 Pro Mazda Championship presented by Cooper Tires. Charles Finelli from Fat Boy Racing starts things off in the 14th position with Cape Motorsports' Nikita Listoshkin in 13th. Moises de Lavera races for D-Force Racing, and he comes from 12th on the grid with Andres Gutierrez for Team Pelfrey starting in 11th. Inside the top 10, we see Chris Wright starting 10th in the number 78, while Felipe Drugovich starts in 9th. Stingray Rob out of Payette, Idaho rolls off in the 8th position. Matthias Soler-Obel for RP Motorsports starts in the 7th position. Last year's USF 2000 champion and Mazda scholarship driver Oliver Askew out of Florida starts 6th in the number 3 for Cape Motorsports. Now to the top 5 for Juncos Racing. VK's teammate in the number 9, Robert McGinnis, starting in 5th. Rolling off on the outside of row number 2, another entry. It's the number 1, Carlos Cunha, starting in the 4th position. On the inside of row number 2, driver of the number 90, the pride of Red Deer, Alberta, Canada, rookie to the Pro Mazda Championship, Parker Thompson, starts in 3rd. On the front row, it's the number 79 of David Malukas for BN Racing, should he make it to the grid in time. And we just spoke to your pole sitter, driver of the number 2. He's coming off back-to-back wins in Toronto, Ontario. He leads the championship point standings, and he starts on pole for Juncos Racing, Rinus VK. So there's a look at your starting lineup here for Pro Mazda round number 12 of the 2018 championship. We are under a slight hold. We have our guests down here from Royal Purple. They're going to give us the command to fire engines shortly. But again, we are getting ready to go racing. We just spoke to Rinus VK. You can see the vacant spot on the grid for 2nd position. Parker Thompson starts in the 3rd spot in the number 90. Carlos Cunha rolls off 4th. So now we've just found out we have a few extra minutes. There's no David Malukas starting on 2nd, so we'll move to our 3rd place starter, Parker Thompson, and see if he'll talk to us for a moment. Parker, you didn't have a very good weekend in Toronto, so you went and got a haircut. It seems to have helped you. And inside row 2 starting spot, how are you feeling for this race today?
I'm feeling good. The exclusive Autosport guys have given me a great car, and we'll see what we can make happen on this race today.
You gonna have fun out there?
I think that's the main thing, but there's a championship on the line, so we'll go see what we can do.
There certainly is a championship on the line. Parker brings up a great point, and it is important to note that one championship rival is not even here at Mid-Ohio this weekend. Harrison Scott, who was involved in a very violent accident 2 weeks ago at Toronto, he is okay. He was medically cleared. It's just an issue of getting the car back together in time. They were not able to, unfortunately, so our thoughts are with Harrison Scott. We miss him. We wish he were here, but we can't wait to see him back on track shortly. Hopefully he'll be back on time for Gateway Motorsports Park in St. Louis in just a few weeks. So again, folks, that's Parker Thompson we just spoke to, and we've already heard from our pole sitter today. It's round number 12 of the Pro Mazda Championship presented by Cooper Tires, and we are getting ready to go racing. So again, folks, if you're walking around the track here at Mid-Ohio this weekend, we hope you're having a great time. We know you're here for IndyCar racing, but it would be very smart of you to take in the on-track action here in the Mazda Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. You are literally looking at the future generation of the Verizon IndyCar Series. In the 100th Indianapolis 500, 33 drivers took the green flag. Of those 33, all but 10 came out of the Mazda Road to Indy. Again, 23 out of the 33 starters in the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 were graduates of the Mazda Road to Indy. So there you have it. It's proof that the system is working, and that is a product of the teamwork between Mazda Motorsports, Anderson Promotions, and the folks at IndyCar. David Malukas parks his number 79 Pro Mazda entry from BN Racing on the grid. The field is set, and we are just moments away from going racing here. Again, round number 12 of the 2018 Pro Mazda Championship presented by Cooper Tires. So we're less than 1 minute away. Drivers are in their cars. Again, Renus VK, David Malukas, your front row. Parker Thompson and Carlos Cunha, row number 2. Robert McGinnis and Oliver Askew, row number 3. Mateus Solar-Obel, Stingray Robb, Felipe Drugovich, and Chris Wright round out your top 10 for round number 12 here today at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. So get ready, folks. It's 2 rounds of Pro Mazda racing coming up, one today and one tomorrow. We're getting ready to go racing here at Mid-Ohio. Pro Mazda drivers are set and ready to go. We'd like to thank all of our fantastic sponsors, but especially Royal Purple, as they have supplied us our Grand Marshal here today. He's going to give us those most famous words in racing as we get set to fire up and go racing. So, folks, it is finally time for the Pro Mazda race. Please welcome Larry Scowden as he gives us those most famous words in racing.
On behalf of everyone at Royal Purple, let's get this party started. Drivers, start your Mazda engines.
You heard him, folks. It's time for Mazda Road to Indy Racing here at Mid-Ohio.
Tony Laporta, thanks so much as these cars fire up. David Malukas late to the grid. Rob Howden has joined me here. He got an emergency text from the crew. They had an electrical problem with that car, but it looks like they got it solved.
So the thing is, how will this affect David Malukas' mindset? You know, as a driver, you're sitting on the mock grid for a while. You're chilling out. You're talking to the team. You're kind of going over your race start in your head. You're getting that game face on.
Yep.
When the car doesn't start, all of a sudden that switches everything around. Is it going to start? Am I going to need to start at the tail of the field if it doesn't start early?
Right.
What's going to happen? David Malukas, though, is a kid that came up through karting, won international races.
Sure.
This guy has the focus to be able to get to where he needs to be. But, again, starting on the outside of row number 1 alongside Renus VK, those are the 2 drivers that have won the last 4 races in the series. This is going to be an exciting race for sure, especially with Parker Thompson, your point leader, starting on the inside of row number 2.
Pro Mazda drivers finally rolling out of the grid here as they're making their way onto the racing circuit. We'll take them around and introduce you, those of you listening on the streaming service, who is going to be calling the race. Myself, I'm John Phippen, seated next to Rob Howden here, overlooking the start-finish line in the Cooper Tires press tower here at Mid-Ohio. As the cars leave our view, they come into the view of Rusty Bell. Hey, Rusty.
Good day. Great to be here, and looks like we're going to end the day with a great one here as the Pro Mazda cars warming themselves up as they make their way around turn 1. I pick up the cars on that very high-speed left-hand corner up the straightaway into the keyhole turn and off camber 180-degree corner, and then they make their way onto the 3,000-foot-long back straightaway here with a little kink. I am just past that, about 2/3 of the way down the straightaway, and then they'll hit the brakes at the top end of the straightaway at the best passing area in the opportunity.
Unlike our Indy Lights drivers, these drivers will only get 1 pace lap, so we'll get the start next time by. But as Rusty hands off the cars down into turn number 4, they come into the view of Brian Culbertson. Hey, Brian.
Hey, John, and hey, everybody. As the drivers get off the brakes at the end of the back straightaway, they've got a hard 90-degree right hand. They climb up a slight hill. They've got a left or a right or left-hand turn there that they've got to negotiate, and they drop back down that hill, and into another right-hand turn. After they clear that turn, they go underneath the Honda Bridge and head into the Thunder Valley area.
They're in front of Tom Michaels. Hey, Tom.
They're in front of me right now. Pole sitter, Rita's VK. The 79 car getting out there late, David Malukas. And then the next row, Parker Thompson, Carlos Cunha. Couple of consecutive right-handers off camber are 8 and 9. Over a little bit of a rise, down into Thunder Valley they go. At turn 10, it's a general right-hander. Then the hard, very fast left-hander going into the carousel turn. John?
Waiting for the pace car to pull off as the field comes down into the start. And we'd like to acknowledge our honorary flagger, a VIP guest of Royal Purple, to wave the green flag.
They're going to be side by side coming out here. This championship unbelievably tight up front. This is a crucial race here in Pro Mazda. Ladies and gentlemen, we are green, green, green as they race into turn number 1. An aggressive move for one of the Juncos drivers going into P3 or P4, I believe. That was Carlos Cunha getting to the inside of Parker Thompson. They'll get out of turn number 1 cleanly, working their way down to turn 2, 3 wide into that hard braking zone.
Up into the keyhole turn right now. It's VK out in front as we watch those cars come down the straightaway. We'll keep an eye on them now. There's a lot of dust being kicked up and cars going wide trying to get around that. One of the cars dropped some wheels into the grass. We'll watch them now as they make their way down the straight. In fact, that was the 82 machine that dropped those wheels in the grass and is going to be next to last.
Yeah, that was Stingray Rob. The yellow team Pelfrey car got a little wide coming out of turn number 2 and 4 wheels off. The dust, of course, getting kicked up, and everybody driving to the right side of the racetrack to make sure that they were going to have any contact here on the opening lap. As they work their way through now down over into Thunder Valley, they're in front of Tom.
Yep, right now, the leader by us, Rita's VK. The rest of the field follows on along. The Lucas Cunha getting there up into the 3rd position on that first lap.
Yeah, good start for Carlos Cunha. He was able to get a jump and get to the inside of Parker Thompson going through turn number 1. Renus VK, who won both races in Toronto, looking to try to maintain that momentum for Juncos Racing. He leads over Malukas, Cunha, Thompson, and Robert McGinnis. Behind the front-running quintet, it's the Soul Red car, last year's USF 2000 champion. That's Oliver Askew. But right now, Renus VK looking to try to cut into that 7-point lead, actually 6-point lead now for Parker Thompson. He leads here early on.
The Pelfrey car of Stingray Rob goes inside Moises de Lavara to move back up into 12th position. I don't think he was able to close that deal, Rusty.
Was not able to do that right now. Still sits behind trying to make that move. But these cars trying to shake the draft. A great battle here back in about the 10th spot between that number 8 car and the other team Pelfrey machine as they make their way down. That's Moises de Lavara and Lasoshkin were battling coming off the keyhole.
Battle for second starts to heat up right now. The Lucas better be watching his mirrors. Tom, your leader's getting away. VK.
Well, that's what we've seen much of today. Equidistance then, a little closer to that between 2nd and 3rd. Malukas ahead of McGinnis. No real challenges anyplace.
Everybody kind of settling in here early now, John. Again, in a long race, 25-lapper or 40 minutes. They've all kind of got themselves settled into the battle here. And again, it's about getting that car to take a set. Early on, the tires aren't up to temperature yet. They haven't got to the pressure you need. The car's a little tougher to drive. Now is what is key because, of course, Renus VK out to about a 0.7 of a second lead. David Malukas just resets fast lap, so his car just starting to come in. Now everybody's got things clean and green. We're pushing forward. We're figured out where we are after the opening lap when the chaos obviously ensues. Carlos Cunha, the driver, for first getting the jump up into position. I thought it was Cunha. It was actually Robert McGinnis, I believe, the number 9, who was able to go into 3rd. It's McGinnis in front of Thompson, not Carlos Cunha.
And a great battle behind right now for 4th, side by side, Brian.
It's a great battle, and that pass does get done right at the end of the back straightaway. Going to go for the over-under. McGinnis there solid. They touch. The 1 car gets together. Cunha able to nudge his way, gets that position back. So Cunha had dropped down 1, uses the front wheel to kind of move that Soul Red car out of the way.
Yeah, the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, that is not over, and I'll tell you what, it'll go deeper through the field as well. Renus VK still able to lead this thing. good margin there. David Malukas and then Robert McGinnis.
Parker Thompson going the wrong direction. He needs to get closer to Rinus VeeKay to try to maintain his points lead. He's back now in 5th position.
Yeah, that pass was actually made by Carlos Cunha getting by Parker Thompson. That's the call that happened down into turn number 6. Cunha got to the inside, then the outside, then had the spot coming back down the hill into turn number 6. And you're right, Parker Thompson, he's got to get this thing going in the right direction. 5th is not what he needs right now. He needs to win races. He's got to get himself back up front. He's got to get the momentum going again, because right now, the momentum all in the hands of Rinus VeeKay. David Malukas runs 2nd. Robert McGinnis having a great run to 3rd position right now. The driver of the number 9 machine, P3. Carlos Cunha in 4th. So Juncos Racing now 1st, 3rd, and 4th. They are looking very good. And indeed, Parker Thompson now having to try to rebound everything to see if he can't hold off Oliver Askew. Askew for Cape Motorsports starting to put the pressure from the 6th position. Brian?
Yeah, there's a battle to be joined here for first place. Malukas is pulling up here on VeeKay as they head up through turn number 10. Probably 2 to 3 car lengths between 1st and 2nd now.
Yeah, Malukas, who was late to the grid, he's kind of getting his mind right, as you were saying, Rob, and he's working his way a little closer to the leader. So right now it's Rinus VeeKay, but Malukas closing down. It was about 0.6 a lap ago, about 0.7, about the same interval. Unlike the Indy Lights drivers, these guys don't have push to pass to rely on.
Yeah, indeed. That's the thing. These drivers have to work on the car itself. There's only a limited amount of tools that they can work inside the car to change. They're just adjusting sway bars within the car. They can do brake bias as well. They've got just a little bit of thing they can do to make the car just a little bit better. As you said, 0.7 of a second the lead for Rinus VeeKay last time by. Malukas and he putting really good lap times down, 1:17.7, 1:17.8. Carlos Cunha there as well, 1:17.8. It's Parker Thompson and Oliver Askew falling back a bit in 5th and 6th. Again, this is not the race that Parker Thompson needed, John. He needed to be able to come forward immediately. He didn't qualify as well as he wanted. Got jumped a bit at the start there by Robert McGinnis, and I'm telling you, Parker, he'll have to keep himself centered in the race car as well here now, because he knows he's got to have the scholarship if he wants to go to Indy Lights. There's no funding there for Parker to move to the Indy Lights program. Like so many young drivers coming up, Spencer Piggott was one of the ones we always talked about. Had he not been able to win the Pro Mazda Championship, there's a very good possibility he would not have been in Indy Lights the next year. He wouldn't have won that championship, and he would not have his ride now with Ed Carpenter Racing. That's where Parker Thompson is. If he doesn't win here, he's going to find himself potentially having to go sports car racing.
You know, as I'm watching this battle between McGinnis and VeeKay, it looks like McGinnis's car working really well on the backside of the track, because he's able to draw right up on the back of VeeKay. VeeKay may be running a little more trimmed out to have a little better straight line speed, because he's able to open that interval up again as they get on to the straight parts.
Another great lap for David Malukas. He gets to within 0.7 of a second. Now, as he gets closer, that's when he's going to have to start dealing with the aero wash. He's going to get up inside of the draft, but once he gets in these fast corners, he's got to get some air on the front wing. Otherwise, he'll start losing that front wing, losing that front downforce, and the car will start to understeer a little bit. And that's when you'll see him peeking out in different areas, maybe coming into a little tighter into the corner to make sure he has some air on that front wing.
Malukas gets it down to a car length through the S's, under braking. Malukas is doing a great job. VeeKay under pressure. Headed to you, Tom.
They come up over 7, now into 8 and 9. 2.5 car lengths is what separates 1st and 2nd right now. The big gap back there to McGinnis. He's riding all by his lonesome in 3rd place.
Again, up over the hill, the rides are just a little bit of a jink there for Rinus VeeKay. Again, talk about coming up over out of Thunder Valley through turn number 11. We've seen some issues there with Simon Pagenaud. We saw some drivers in USF 2000 have issues there. Car just getting a little bit up onto the rumbles, and just a little bit of a jink on him. He was able to hold on to it and get it placed correctly to get down into the carousel. But no doubt about it, I think that Rinus VeeKay starting to feel the pressure. It's down to now just 0.6 of a second, John Phipp. And this is a pretty good run here from Malukas. That car really starting to come in.
He's the fastest car on the track on that last lap, a 17.1, as he is right on the gearbox of Rinus VeeKay. Rusty, they're right in front of you.
Down the straightaway last time was a car length. This time it's about 3 here at the kink in front of me, and it closes up under braking. He's not close enough to make anything happen now, but is definitely going to be in the draft.
He gets it down to about a car length as they work their way at the top of 5 down into turn number 6. So these two drivers completely different speeds at different parts of the track, and now it's up to 3 car lengths as they go out of my view. Tom.
Yeah, it accordions a little bit there as they come through here. It's exactly the same as it was 1 lap ago. So, as you say, different parts of the track, one car is better than another.
Yeah, but all that really matters is that overall time, right? When they come back across the line, who's got the overall better speed? And Malukas definitely closing up. Probably about 3.5 car lengths as they come out of the final corner across start-finish here. Just under 0.6 of a second last time by. He has cut it down to under 0.4 of a second, a 17 flat. For David Malukas, closes to within 0.4 of a second. Look at the other lap times as well. 17.1 for Carlos Cunha. I saw a good lap time out of Parker Thompson. He wasn't able to continue it. He's still P5, 1.5 seconds behind Cunha, but about 0.6 of a second clear of Oliver Askew. But we are setting ourselves up, guys, for a really good battle. Rusty, watch for Malukas to look to the inside of turn 4.
We're watching right now. He's got a little bit of a draft. He closes up to within a car length now, maybe a little closer.
Yeah, it's a car length for Rusty, and he's definitely closer this time by. It's under a car length at the top of 5. Malukas, the back end, steps out on Malukas' car as he goes through turn number 5. It's 2 car lengths headed for you, Tom. Has he got anything for him as he makes his way into 8?
Well, still a lot of time left in this race. Less than 2 car lengths between first and second now. Apparently, that little bit of a wiggle that Malukas had over there in turn 5 didn't hurt him too much.
And these two drivers have won the last 4 races. Malukas swept the weekend at Road America. VK swept the weekend at Toronto. So they're showing they've got the pace here in the second half of the season.
I'll tell you one of the things about David Malukas is, and it's hard to teach this to a lot of drivers, they'll catch up to somebody. They'll be significantly quicker, a 10th here, a couple of tenths, and they're able to close. But when they get there, they start running that person's time. They're not able to maximize them closing the gap. You've got to make that move. You've got to teach these drivers to get there and pounce. You won't have to teach that to David Malukas. He's the kind of driver that if the opening is there and he's got there, he's going to make sure he puts the 79 to the inside. That's the kind of driver he is. He always gets aggressive making the moves. In fact, he's been on probation once this year for aggressive driving. But again, as a team owner, that's not something you want to kind of hinder, right?
Sure.
You never want to push a driver. You always want to be trying to maybe pull them back a little bit, and that's David Malukas. If he does get himself to the point where he's able to make a move here on Rinus VK, you know that Malukas will pounce and try to take over the lead.
Working race lap number 10, coming up on half distance, Tom Michaels.
Absolutely. And that distance between first and second this time by through turn number 9, maybe just a scotch more. But still, VK with the advantage on Malukas. No challenges at any other part on the racetrack right now. Maybe the actual best battle we see right now is back there for 11th and 12th between teammates Andres Gutierrez and Stingray Robb.
Yeah, I have no doubt they're going to be battling still outside the top 10. They're racing all the way through this field. One of the things we'll see, again, we talk about how this track here at Mid-Ohio is pretty rough on tires. It's demanding for sure. As these drivers push to the middle of the race, into the last end of the race, we'll start watching lap times again. Who goes quicker, like Parker Thompson getting down to a 1:16.890. Parker Thompson just turned fast lap of the race. He's 5.5 seconds back, but is that car going to start coming in? He's worked on that sway bar a little bit. Has he taken care of his tires? That's what we're going to see. Who's got a car that's going to be good in the second half of the race? And Ken Thompson, already 5.5 seconds back, can he work his way back forward?
He's got a long way to go, and I tell you what I'm noticing is VK's car gets off the turns much better than Malukas'. Malukas is really good on the brakes. VK can get that car to rotate. He can get the power down.
Later gets his right side wheels up on those rumble strips. Car just a little bit of a cant to it as it came through the turn, but continues with that advantage over Malukas. It was stretched a little bit that time.
VK feeling the pressure because he dips into the 116s as well. Of course, you would expect if they can keep the tires under them, the cars will get a little quicker as the fuel load burns off. The car gets lighter, and they actually should be a little faster as they go later into the race if they can keep the tires good.
Yeah, Rinus VK getting down to a 16.848 fast lap of the race. Thompson not able to get back to a 16, but does do a 117 flat, no doubt about it, almost a half a second quicker than Carlos Cunha. He's cut that gap down to 4th place to about 0.8 of a second. Rinus VK, though, just has not put a wheel wrong yet, and that was one of his trademarks from last year. He was so consistent. He wasn't winning races because Oliver Askew was out there doing that. Parker Thompson, then, when Exclusive Autosport started coming in, they were able to score a bunch of wins, but Rinus was always there. He just wasn't making mistakes. He never finished outside the top 5, kept knocking the podiums out, and that's a mark of a guy that can win a championship or can at least challenge for one, because when you can come into a race like this and hit those marks, even when you're getting challenged by a driver like David Malukas, you don't make a mistake, that's going to win you some races. And that's what we're seeing out of VK right now. And that is a trait that you want on the resume. You want IndyCar team owners to know, I don't wreck cars, and I can be consistent.
Tom Michaels, you said a lap ago that Gutierrez and Rob are having a good battle. That has really shrunk down to a nose-to-tail affair.
Yeah, well, as they go by us here, Stingray Rob has gotten around Gutierrez, so he has moved up into 11th place. And that battle is broken off now as they head up to turn 11.
Stingray Rob, of course, put all four wheels off at the exit of the keyhole on the very first lap and fell back to the back, and he's been on the gearbox of his teammate up until now, and he's finally been able to get that pass done and move himself up into 11th position. Gutierrez back to 12th.
You know, John, we talk a little bit about the fact that as the tires hit that maximum, right, they hit that good window where they're really optimized, and the tire and the fuel load starts to go down. Now we're seeing all the drivers in the top four all now into the 116s. A 16.8 for both VK and Malukas, a 16.9 for McGuinness, a 16.8 for Carlos Cunha. Parker Thompson hasn't got there yet. He turned that 116.8 or 9, I believe, and hasn't been able to get back a 117.1. But the fuel load's going down. The tires are starting to get really good, and that's why we're seeing fantastic lap times.
And we're just passing half distance here, working race lap number 13 of the scheduled 25. Unlike our USF 2000 race, this one's been clean and green. I hope I don't jinx them.
I was just going to say, what are you doing? You know what? The Pro Mazda drivers, a lot of the times, they'll run a little bit cleaner. We did have some issues at a couple of the tracks earlier this year where some of the guys were getting maybe a little over anxious, a little over aggressive. But for the most part, these guys race pretty good. They've had a full year or 2 or 3 in USF 2000. And they're here to race on a track where they know that if you're quicker, there are places to make the move. You don't need to risk a low percentage move here when you know that if you're faster, you can make that move into turn number 4.
Tom Michaels?
Well, keep an eye on that 82 car, the yellow car of Stingray Rob. Now that he's gotten around his teammate, he is right in the mirrors of the number 8 car, Nikita Laskoshkin.
Yeah, Tom, I'll tell you, you hit it bang on there. When they came on the front straightaway, he was right under the gearbox of Nikita Laskoshkin. Stingray Rob started in the 8th position, as John had detailed again. Kind of got shuffled off on the outside on the exit of turn number 2 coming down the hill there, and went 4 wheels off. Dust everywhere, fell back to the tail of the field, but he has systematically worked his way back forward, getting by first Oliveira, then by his teammate Gutierrez, and now he's made his way right to the gearbox of Lastoshkin. I bet we're going to see a pass for there pretty soon. They're right in front of Brian Cuthbertson right now.
Yeah, that move may come in front of you, Tom Michaels, as they're getting stacked up. And Stingray Rob's putting the pressure on. Also, watch Cunha. He just turned a fast race lap, and he's making a battle for the final spot on the box.
Yeah, trying to pull up, and within about a car length is Stingray Rob on Lastoshkin. Up they go through turn number 10, watching into 11. Not able to make any kind of a move there, but they could, coming down the front straightaway.
Indeed, Carlos Cunha turning a pretty good lap, but last time by, Parker Thompson now into the 116.7s as well. He's really just keeping pace with the guys in front of him, but he's down to the 116s. The only driver now into the top 5. The last driver kind of to hit that mark, so Thompson's car starting to come in. 14 laps down, still 11 remaining in this race. VK leading by 1.1 seconds, and he was a couple tenths quicker than David Maluka. Starting to stretch it out a little bit, John. That's going to give him a little bit of, it's going to give him some comfort, but he's also going to be able to run maybe a wider race line.
Exactly right, as he doesn't feel that pressure.
Yeah.
Malukas also, it could play into his hands because he'll be outside of that aero wash and he'll be able to turn some quick laps. If he just can get VK to make a little bit of a mistake, he can be right there to pounce.
Stingray Rob makes the move, goes the high side, and gets it done. So Stingray Rob makes the move around the 8 car, the Lastoshkin, able to get that done. So Stingray Rob putting on a good show. Unfortunately, he had that early spin, cost him, but he is making some great moves.
Now we'll have to see whether he's going to be able to get up there and take Chris Wright, who right now holds the number 9 position.
You know, it's interesting because a driver like Stingray Rob, say you start 6th and finish 6th. You're racing around the racetrack, you're getting a lot of lap times, but you're not learning anything.
Right.
You go to the back like that, and now he's had to pass. How many guys has he passed now? 4 different drivers. Yeah, he's passed 4 cars already, and watch for him now to start working his way up to Chris Wright. Last time by, quicker by a 10th, and that was making the outside move in turn number 4. So at this point, Stingray Rob, a driver that we're getting a chance to watch coming from the tail of the field, and he's getting an opportunity to race wheel to wheel at the Pro Mazda level. This is really valuable experience. He'll tell you he's disappointed, but it's valuable experience for Stingray Rob.
Yeah, he's closing up right now on the back. It's coming down the straightaway. We're watching him. Chris Wright looking in his mirrors here as he hits the kink, because Stingray Rob's really got the car trimmed out. It really has a lot of top-end speed.
Oh, yeah, Stingray Rob closes down, picks up 2 car lengths right at the end of the back straightaway. He's got it down to 3 car lengths, over 5. He's closing up even more. Tom Michael, Stingray Rob here is on fire here at the end of this race here, doing a good job.
Yeah, right there, about 2.5 car lengths off the rear of the Chris Wright number 78. Not going to be able to do anything this lap. We'll see how long it takes him to be able to get on the rear wing of Wright. And I never thought I would have gotten that sentence out correctly.
I'll tell you this right now. The funny thing about these young drivers is you get a bit in their teeth like this and they start passing drivers, they really get up on the wheel. And I'll tell you, Stingray's having some fun right now. That car's working. He's going to close to probably within about 4 car lengths, I think, as they come out of turn number 1. Of course, they'll head up to turn number 2 in the side of Rusty Bell. But Rusty, this is going to be a good battle. He could be close enough to try something in turn 4.
I think he will be. It's 2 car lengths now under braking in the top of the keyhole, and that car really handles well at the top end of the straightaway. He's in the draft right now. We can see Chris Wright trying to shake it up a little bit, but that's not happening. He's right there. He moves to the outside. He's got the outside line, Brian, but it looks like he may have that made.
He is in front, but no, at the end of the back straightaway, Wright able to get back in front of Stingray Rob, but Stingray Rob stays right there in the gearbox and continue to watch the battle for third. Kuna really closing up.
I like this idea of back-to-back outside passes for Stingray Rob. Why not, right? You do one, let's do another one. Let's try it. Now, a little tougher. The closer you get to the front, those passes around the outside are a little bit harder. The driver's maybe a little quicker as you're working your way forward. But Chris Wright held up his line, did a great job there. Stingray wisely backed out of it. No need to try to get side by side. Let's do it again. Set it back up. And if you get lucky, maybe this time you try it all the way down to the inside.
Exactly right. Again, and Brian hit it right on the head. Carlos Cunha running quicker than Robert McGinnis by a bunch as he's closed down under a second. So we may have a challenge for the final step on the box as Cunha will try to get close to McGinnis and make that battle for third.
Interesting. We saw this actually 2 weekends ago in Toronto where Robert McGinnis was just absolutely in defense mode trying to hold on to third position. He had a great run in Toronto, the streets of Toronto. Everybody was stacking behind him, and that racetrack is so narrow, and you run those defensive lines. They were all over top of him, but he actually was able to hold on and get the position. That looks to be what that may happen now. He may have to try to hold Kuna off because Carlos Cunha was 0.4 of a second quicker last time by. He was only 0.8 back. Drivers working their way up again out of the Thunder Valley. Front driver, front 5, 6, pretty much holding position. The 2 drivers from RP Motorsport Racing, Felipe Drogovic in the 10 and Mateus Solarobo in the number 27, still running 7th and 8th. So no real battle there whatsoever. The field pretty spaced, but again, this great fight here with Stingray Rob trying to work his way forward. Kind of the battle, John, that we've been keying on because it's really the only fight on the racetrack now. We can look at lap times all day long and say you're 0.2 quicker or whatever it may be, and yeah, you're closing up on the gap, but man, you want wheel-to-wheel racing. And Stingray Rob, again, as he works his way out of turn number 1 here, again, right up on the gearbox, maybe a length back, actually, of Chris Wright. We'll see if he gets another shot here when he gets in front of Rusty and Brian.
Yeah, looks like the front 5 cars look like they're getting closer together. Parker Thompson's not losing touch with this group either. But it just looks like overall our front 5 have closed it up just a little bit. Nobody in contention for a pass yet.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Malukas has closed it up a couple tenths in this last 2 laps. We may have a battle right there. Stingray Rob gets it down to about 4 car lengths now and not able to put a charge on. Maybe he ran the tires off a little bit. Needs to cool them off.
Well, for a moment, it looked like Listoshkin was going to be resurgent there because he was right on the rear of the Stingray Rob car, but he has dropped back once again. And so far, Stingray Rob has not been able to mount a charge again against Chris Wright.
Well, that's what we're talking about, right? He was pushing hard, trying to get there. Once you get there and you're getting right into the gearbox and you're pushing hard like that, that's when the tires start to really get used, the fronts, because you don't have that grip from the front downforce. You're really asking a lot out of the tire, especially coming through the carousel, to be able to run that line. Again, he's back by probably 5 or 6 car length. The really interesting thing here is we're looking at live timing is the fact that Robert McGinnis, I believe, might have just set fast lap of the race. He just laid a really good lap down Indeed, yeah. Robert McGinnis from P3, fast lap of the race, a 1:16.730. Again, Carlos Cunha's been coming, and their lap times, look at
virtually
a hundredth
identical,
of a second apart, but McGinnis kind of, I think, rebounding, responding to the pressure his teammates laying down.
Yeah, I'm sure that he got a call from the pit wall to say, hey, Carlos is coming. You better pick up the pace. And that's exactly the case right now, as that interval's only about a second. So Carlos Cunha is still very much in range to mount a challenge here, as we're coming up on 5 laps remaining.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Rinus VK coming over the hill here into the carousel. There'll be 6 laps remaining next time by. Again, this is a 25-lap race. We've been green to checker so far. Rinus VK taking full advantage of that. Charles Finelli, the number 83, going to come into pit lane. They were coming around to lap Charles. Again, Charles, I think 50 years old. Mm-hmm. I got to get that exactly right for you guys, because he's the guy that we're cheering for. Because there's a guy out here running against these kids, twice their age or more. But he's, this Fat Boy Racing team, just a bunch of great guys. He wants to run at the highest level he possibly can. He's into this Pro Mazda, loves the car. He's got Kenton Cook, one of the driver coaches here, helping him out a little bit, and he's just getting faster and faster. He'll let the whole field go through. He'll roll back out on track. Not a hindrance to anybody, and we go racing. Great call for Charles Finelli.
Yeah, he also had a camera coming loose on the top of the roll bar that was bouncing around, and we had heard that he may need to come in to get that taken care of.
Well, we'll take care of 2 things at once then. Get that camera fixed up and make sure as well that he's not in the way of the leaders coming through. It is Rinus VK leading, as we said, folks, just about 5 laps remaining. When Rinus VK gets back across here, it's a 1.7-second advantage over David Malukas. Robert McGinnis runs in 3rd. Carlos Cunha in 4th. Parker Thompson now 5th. 6th is Oliver Askew. 7th, Felipe Drogovic. In 8th, Mateus Soler-Obel. 9th, Chris Wright. 10th, Stingray Robb. 11th, Nikita Listoshkin. In the 12th spot, Andres Gutierrez. 13th, Moises de Oliveira. And 14th, Charles Finelli. 5 laps remaining for Rinus VK. He resets fast lap of the race, and with this result, he will look to take the point lead here in Pro Mazda.
Yeah, right now, as the run at the live points, he would have 282. Parker Thompson, 267. Carlos Cunha right behind him with 232. Yeah. So the battle is getting a little bit closer at the front.
A big swing for sure. He was 6 up coming in. It's going to be a swing of about probably 18 or 19 points. Tough one for Parker Thompson, but they'll have to fight back and do the same thing again tomorrow. Then we go to Gateway. Then we go to Portland. Still lots of racing to come with those drivers in the lead group here for this championship in Pro Mazda.
Of course, the extra 15 points at Gateway will pay some dividends as well. And Parker Thompson's had some success on the oval at Lucas Oil Raceway Park.
Yeah, won the Freedom 90 from green flag to checker. Did a tremendous job there. But again, running in that 5th position, he's got a pretty good gap of about 2.8 seconds back to Oliver Askew. He continued to try to chip into the gap between he and Carlos Cunha, turning really good lap times, but always like a 10th here, a 10th there. Just not enough to really make any ground up in terms of the gap between 4th and 5th place drivers. But again, laps winding down. 4 to go for Rinus VK as he comes back under the Cooper Tire Bridge in front of Rusty Bell.
Up into the keyhole turn once again, and he has definitely stretched it out. There is no battle right now. Malukas now falling back into the clutches of McGinnis as we watch that. That's a little closer than it's been, and still about 6 or 7 car lengths. McGinnis not able to make a challenge yet, not quite close enough, but down the straightaway.
Stingray Robb might try to make a pass at turn 1, Rusty.
Yeah, he's underneath. He's going to try to get there. He's not quite able to do it. He drops back behind. We'll take another look. Can't quite do it there either, as that Chris Wright machine taking that defensive line here at the entry, but that should give Stingray Robb a good run here at the top end of the straight. They're already side by side here at the kink, but he's on the outside, Brian. We've seen him make the outside pass before, but Chris Wright was pretty good on the brakes that time.
They're both hard on the brakes. Stingray's got the advantage. He's going to hold it in there, and he does. He holds it in there. So Stingray Robb gets that outside pass done. Now he gets challenged back, but Stingray Robb does it. So Stingray Robb moves up 1 more spot.
And he's stretching it out as they come over here. He already has about 4 to 5 car lengths over the Chris Wright car, and Wright is back in the clutches of Liskochen.
That's just how tough it is in this series. You know, you can close up in someone like that, and you can be significantly faster. But with that arrow wash, when you're trying to get behind someone, it's so hard to make the pass. And kudos to Stingray Robb for really sticking it down there on the outside of turn number 4 to get that pass done. And indeed, Nikita Listoshkin now closing up on the gearbox of Chris Wright as well. So Listoshkin getting racing to try to work his way into the top 10. But count Stingray Robb now to the 9th position, well behind Mateus Soler-Obel. So a 9th place spot. He started in 8th, so back to 9th.
Yep.
Pretty decent recovery for Stingray Robb. Just 3 laps to go, though, for Rinus VeeKay as he looks to take, what are we looking at here? 15-point advantage it would be coming in or leaving this particular race, heading to race number 2 of this weekend. David Malukas, Robert McGinnis, that is your current podium if they would finish right now. 22 laps down, 3 to go. Rinus VeeKay, man, looking very good. Coming through the carousel, just been able to manage that gap over Carlos Cunha. But again, the momentum and the confidence that he gained on the streets of Toronto, getting both of those victories. Parker Thompson just struggling like crazy, getting contact with David Malukas in turn 1 there. An expensive wreck. But now running P5 as he watches VeeKay run up front.
Man, look at Stingray Robb run away from Chris Wright. He has just really put the afterburners on. Again, he's some 13 seconds behind Mateus Soler-Obel, so no change for, barring a problem, no challenge for a further improvement. But he just clicked off a 16.9. Obel's lapping in the 118s.
Wow, he's the fastest driver on the racetrack right now. Stingray Robb lays a 16.9 down. Everybody, all the leaders, 17 flat, 17.1, 17.8. Stingray Robb just went 16.9, 1.1 seconds faster than Mateus Soler-Obel. He's back by 12 seconds, but the guy's on fire right now.
Just not enough laps. And somebody going slow. Oh, that's Finelli again, letting the leaders go by.
Charles Finelli to the inside in Thunder Valley, making sure the leaders can get by. He's down to the inside there now. They'll come up over the hill, that really tough rise where the car gets very light, blind left-hander, top of the hill. They'll come through the final couple of corners here, and I believe the white flag flying. Indeed, white flag flying here at start-finish for Rinus VeeKay. 2.7 seconds at the line. The gap here at this point, still McGinnis in 3rd, Cunha 4th. Parker Thompson has closed up, though, by a ton. He's only 0.7 of a second back. Parker Thompson, does he make a move, guys, here on Cunha? Key on that battle between the 1 of Cunha and the 90 of Parker Thompson.
Yeah, he's been coming the last couple of laps. We've kept an eye on that, but he's still back about 5 car lengths. He's really going to have to do something, or Cunha's going to have to make a big mistake as the leader's already by. VeeKay already down into turn 4. Parker Thompson still back 6 or 7 car lengths.
Leader at the top of 5. Watching that battle back there for the 4th spot. It's still about 3 car lengths between them. The leaders into Thunder Valley.
They are up into turn number 8, now 9. That's the distance between 1st and 2nd. VeeKay goes by, Malukas, then McGinnis. Big gap back. No challenge there on Cunha from Thompson. We just got a couple of turns to go here.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 straight victories for Rinus VeeKay out of the final couple of corners. VeeKay wins the opening round here. He's pumping the fist coming across the line as the victor in Pro Mazda, the opening race of the doubleheader, and he will take that point lead after a tremendous run. David Malukas in 2nd, Robert McGinnis 3rd, Carlos Cunha in 4th, Parker Thompson comes home in the 5th spot. And what a swing, a 19-point swing as Parker Thompson now behind Rinus VeeKay by 15 markers heading into tomorrow's event. Oliver Askew finishing in the 6th spot, 7th, Felipe Drogovic, 8th, Mateus Soler-Obel, 9th, Stingray Robb, another tremendous lap time, quicker than the leaders that last time by, cuts it down to 10 seconds behind Soler-Obel. And Chris Wright finishing in the 10th position. Rinus VeeKay just didn't put a wheel wrong, John, and that's really what it's about when you qualify on pole. If you can get out to that initial lead, he was able to do that. Parker Thompson fell back a couple of spots with Robert McGinnis being aggressive off the start, but wow, Rinus VeeKay with the win. Malukas, McGinnis will be on the podium. Carlos Cunha and Parker Thompson, as I said, 4th and 5th. Parker closed up significantly over the last handful of laps. Oliver Askew gets 6th for Cape Motorsports. The 2 drivers for RP Motorsports Racing, Felipe Drogovic, the Brazilian, and Mateus Soler-Obel in that 7th and 8th spot. Stingray Robb and Chris Wright, 9th and 10th. But man, Rinus VeeKay, what a run.
So lots of hugs and congratulations down here for Rinus VeeKay. It's your 3rd win in a row. they're still excited for you. They're still loving it. Are you still loving it?
Oh, I love it. I wish I could keep going like this for the rest of my life. Yeah.
That's going to be tough, but you've got a great streak on your hands right now. 2 wins in Toronto, 1 here at Mid-Ohio. This championship's looking pretty solidly yours right now with Parker Thompson having some bad luck and Harrison Scott not making it. How do you feel personally, though, with just a few races left this year?
I feel really good. My confidence is as high as it has ever been, and yeah, the team is doing an amazing job. I'm feeling fitter than ever, so yeah, I want to keep going like this.
And obviously, after 3 wins in a row, it might be a weird question to ask, but can you talk about the level of competition in Pro Mazda and how hard it is to win 3 races in a row this late in the season?
It's really high level. I was looking, I think, the half of the race in my mirrors with David behind me, and I was really driving the best I could and pushing as hard as possible. And yeah, got the win. But yeah, I'm really happy.
Rinus VeeKay doubles up with the wins in Toronto. He's going to try to do it again tomorrow here in Mid-Ohio. He's your winner of round number 12. Congratulations, Rinus.
Thank you.